I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Good morning. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Community Forum. Today, we want to extend our prayers to the families of the victims of the building collapse in Florida. That was a horrific, unimaginable crisis, and so we're praying for every family, and especially for those who are still waiting with bated breath to hear about their loved ones. Also, we're sending our condolences to the former Prime Minister of the Congo, Sammy Batabanga Sr., on the loss of his son this year. Sammy Batabanga Jr. is very close to Reverend Jackson and the Rainbow Push family. And you will hear and see a tribute that Reverend Jackson provided at the memorial service of Rabbi Marks. He's one of our tremendous Jewish rabbis who supported Dr. King in the movement and continued to support Reverend Jackson throughout the years of his life.
When he spoke, people listened because he had something to say. A man of action, not just words. Put his body on the line, his living sacrifice. I thank Rabbi Marks for his living, his legacy. I cannot speak of him in past tense. He is present right now. He is a frame of reference. You will make a certain move, Rabbi Marks, what he said about it. He represents the best in the human family. Whether it's talking about Israel or talking about Mississippi. He's always there, fighting for justice, fighting for the right. I want to express my thanks to him because when I was sick, she went to Parkinson's, which affects your speech and affects your movement. He was there, offering prayer, hopping along, 95, 94 years old. Not long ago, we were meeting together again. So I want to express my thanks to all of you who are here today. He says, in a real sense, kind of like Job, suffering as the will of God. Though you slay me, yet will I trust you. His faith was that kind of faith. Though you slay me, yet will I trust you. The Lord was his shepherd. He believed that. Make him lie down beside still waters in the hot ghettos. His faith. Let me say about people who call by my name. He was a healer. Call by, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then they'll help me from heaven. Heal the land. He had the faith. He kept the faith, had the power. Let's remember him for as long as we shall live. Thank you very much.
And we want to congratulate Reverend Jesse Jackson, our founder, our international president. He received 2 awards this week. One was from the Multi-Ethnic Coalition Incorporated. They presented Reverend Jackson with a traditional Indian silk shawl for his outstanding work on COVID relief for India this year. And then the Arab American Institute presented Reverend Jackson with the Gibeon Lifetime Achievement Award during their Spirit of Humanity Leadership Summit this past weekend.
See, we have the mind.
We have the mind
to learn.
To learn.
We use that mind.
Use that mind.
Good things will come our way.
And things come our way.
Racism is unscientific.
It's unscientific.
It's not true.
It's not true.
It's a big lie.
Big lie.
People hide behind it.
People hide behind
I'm sick behind the walls.
it. Sick behind the
We
wall.
must make them well.
We should make them well.
Love them.
Love them.
Care for them. I am somebody. I am somebody. I matter. I matter. Father Pfleger, you're the man.
You will see on our broadcast Reverend Jackson marching with Father Michael Pfleger, who has been restored to St. Sabina, and his weekly Friday March Against Violence, March for Peace.
This is Bishop Tavis Grant, the National Field Director for the Rainbow Push Coalition. I want to thank you for being a part of our international forum on today. As you've already seen, Reverend Jackson and myself and Jonathan Jackson, our national spokesperson, last week were arrested at the Supreme Court protesting for the right to vote, the For the People Act. And it's so critical and important that you become a partner and a member of what we are doing because you make a difference. We had some tremendous meetings with Senator Chuck Schumer as well as Congresswoman Maxine Waters to talk about legislation that would include equal access to housing, banking, and of course, making sure that we have a free and fair democracy. You can be a part of this movement, www.rainbowpush.org, or you can call us right here in Chicago at our national headquarters, 773-373-3366. Your partnership, your membership makes it so very possible for us to fight for the poor, not fight the poor, and of course, keeping hope alive.
This has been a very busy week for all of us. One, we were able to witness the first monument to an African American woman in the city of Chicago, the Ida B. Wells Monument. Many of you may or may not know, it was the journalist Ida B. Wells who wrote about lynching. It was Ida B. Wells who was able to write for us all of the stories that have now gone down in history about the maltreatment of African Americans, not just in Chicago, but throughout the South. And so to have a monument in Chicago paying tribute to her is a powerful moment, and you'll see a picture of that monument. You need to go back whenever you're in the city of Chicago, and certainly if you live here, go and see the Ida B. Wells Monument. Another historic naming of what many of us affectionately call Lakeshore Drive is now DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Finally, the founder of Chicago gets recognition that's more than limited to a small space where his trading post existed, to let everyone know it. Whenever they land in Chicago, wherever you go in Chicago, as you see the beautiful lakefront, it is now known as DuSable Lakeshore Drive. We are proud of our founder, and we're proud of our city to recognize, finally, its founder, Jean-Baptiste DuSable. We have what I consider to be historic sentencing of Derek Chauvin, the police officer who murdered and was convicted of murder of George Floyd, whose death sent a resounding signal around the world that there needed to be police reform. And so now you see in states across America changes to policing, moves in cities across America to deal with policing. Derek Chauvin was finally sentenced. He didn't get 1 year, he didn't get 10 years, he got more than the police officer that murdered Laquan McDonald. He's gotten more than any police officer who's ever been convicted of murdering an innocent African American on the streets of America. He received 22 years for murder. It is a step towards justice, and we are proud of what Minneapolis has shown us that can happen even now. And before I close, I would be remiss if I didn't say happy birthday to our Illinois political director, a woman who spends a lot of her time fighting for justice, registering voters, none other than our own Miss Betty Corrine Magnus. And so happy birthday, Betty, from the Push family. We salute you today. As we commemorate the 4th of July, and many people, what does the 4th of July mean today? There are two things. We're looking at sentencing in America. We're looking at what happens to those who are incarcerated and how are they treated. And so I want you to hear the story of a young man who spent 22 years in solitary confinement, Anthony Gay. I want you to hear his story and then hear what he is asking us to do to end this policy of solitary confinement in prisons all across the nation. Thank you for joining us this morning. We really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're an activist from Rock Island, Illinois. Tell the audience a little bit about your story. How did you come to be arrested and incarcerated?
First of all, my name is Anthony Gay. In 1994, I was arrested for a street fight where a guy lost $1 in a hat. I was accused of aggravated battery and robbery. I was informed that the aggravated battery was a class 1 and the robbery was a class 3. I was thinking, I don't want to face 4 to 15 years for a street fight. So they told me if I plead guilty to the robbery, they'll dismiss the aggravated battery. So I pleaded guilty to the robbery and they gave me 4 years probation. Well, come to find out, aggravated battery is not a class 1 and robbery is not a class 3. Aggravated battery is a class 3 and robbery is a class 2. So basically they tricked me to plead guilty to the higher offense. Well, anyway, 4 days after I was released, I was driving without a license and my probation was revoked and I was sentenced to prison. There was a guy that I had previously had a fight with in Shawnee. I was on my way to the shower. I think I had been in Menard like 2 or 3 weeks. I was on my way to the shower and he comes running out at me and he swings. Now I grew up wrestling. So when he swung at me, I ducked and hit him with a double leg takedown. But even the police response to just that, like there was no weapons involved or anything, was like bizarre or outrageous because they shot a gun off. The officers ran, they beat me up, maced me. And then that's when I was taken up solitary. Now, at the time, I had no idea that I was going to end up spending 22 consecutive years in a cell that was psychologically darkening the inside of a cow. So
Wait, back up. You spent how long in solitary?
22 years.
22 consecutive years.
22 consecutive years.
So now when you say solitary, explain to the audience, because many people don't know what solitary confinement looks like versus being incarcerated.
Solitary confinement, it looks like you're trapped in I was trapped in a cell smaller than a gas station bathroom, smaller than a dirty gas station bathroom. I was trapped in a cell pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, occasionally I would get to go outside to what we call a dog cage to like walk around, whatnot. But outside of that, I was pretty much trapped in the cell 24 hours a day.
So they brought you food and everything in that solitary confinement?
Right. They would feed me through what we call a chuck hole, a little small space, and slide the food tray through that. So I wouldn't go to the chow hall to eat, wasn't able to engage in any educational programs, wasn't allowed to go to a gym to work out, exercise, wasn't allowed to go in a big yard with other people and around people. So pretty much I was deprived of social stimulation and human contact. The only way I would be able to receive social stimulation and human contact was when I engaged in not superficial, but horrific self-mutilation. Now, I remember when I first started out, I started out scratching on myself. And what happened was in the Supermax, there are like 10 cells. There's 5 on the bottom and there's 5 on the top. At one point, I was on the wing with a guy and he used to horrifically self-mutilate himself. Now, this is a Supermax. So it kind of like, it shook me to see their response because I'm thinking this is a Supermax. So every time he cut himself, they're called it's called a code 3, an emergency response. And the nurses, the staff, they'll come running at the speed of light. And to me, they were showing him the most care and compassion that I probably ever seen. But it was as a result of him cutting on himself. So what I did, I thought because I was isolated, I was alone, and it was making me depressed, right? I felt like, like when you was a little kid and they used to play kickball and you'll get grounded and you'll be looking out the window watching all the kids playing kickball and you're not allowed to play. And it makes you feel depressed. That's how I was feeling. So I'm thinking, well, maybe if I do this, people will care about me too. So I started out, I would scratch myself and it would hurt so bad. And they'll come and they'll look and they'll laugh at me like, that's not nothing, and give me a little ointment and go on about their way, right? I came to realize that I had to do it better, which is ironic because it's really doing it worse, right? So I started doing it more and more and more. And then it became like a conditioned response to where it became a coping mechanism. So, like when you talk about physical pain is a part of our nervous system. So it's basically a feedback mechanism to inform us something is wrong. Well, in there, for me, it flipped. The switch flipped to where it became a coping mechanism because the psychological pain became so profound and so deep that I could not tolerate it. But I developed a high tolerance for pain to where I started cutting my neck, my arms, my legs, my thighs. Now they're running at the speed of light. They're showing me care and compassion, making me feel alive. And these were only moments. And it was only in these moments, we're talking 22 years, that I felt like a human, but the moments were fleeting.
For 22 years, you would mutilate yourself to get this response. How did you finally get out?
What they would do is, instead of coming to realize that this guy needs help, we need to get this guy out this unstable environment, put him in a stable environment where he can have a sense of humanity and not appreciating that this is a crime against humanity, that this is domestic terror.
Right.
They would
It's
up the
torture.
ante.
It's torture.
I went to trial, I lost like 80 times. Well, at the attorneys that were representing me were out of Fourth Appellate Office, Appellate Defender Office in Springfield. Well, these people are overworked and understaffed, so they'll just look for any little issue, maybe one issue, and do a cursory, hasty little brief, and then you will lose.
Right.
I knew what was happening to me was wrong, and I knew what was happening to people around me was wrong. So I got into my head that I can't stop. I can't give up, even while I was hurting myself and I was in extreme pain. So I just kept fighting and fighting. And I believed in my heart, because I believe in God, right? That somewhere, some way, God will give me an opportunity to turn this problem into an opportunity to help other people and to help myself. I was learning about the law, about civil rights and things of that sort, right? So I came to realize that under Section 1983, not only can you be compensated for what happens to you, it's an opportunity to make the public aware. You know, Washington Post, they like to always say that democracy dies in darkness. Well, solitary confinement is darkness and no one can hear your voice. But through Section 1983, the public is compelled to hear your voice because you're filing a lawsuit about your conditions of confinement. Because of Jennifer and Scott came along and helped me, the publicity, many different factors, right? God using people to serve his purpose. That's bigger than me, right? So I end up getting a reduction, end up getting out.
I thank you for taking the time to share your story, because I think your story is the context for the end to what I consider to be a violation of the Eighth Amendment to the Constitution. Cruel and unusual and inhumane punishment that many prisoners in our state and federal penitentiaries across the country face if they are placed in solitary confinement. And so, Anthony, we have two people that are going to join us, Andrina Logan and Pablo Mendoza, who are activists who are going to help really take this to the next level. I mean, this is something that no human should have had to endure. And your case at best was a minor offense. 20 years of your life have been in the penal system, and 22 years in solitary confinement.
I did 24 years in the system. I did 22 of them in solitary confinement.
I mean, that's the fact that you are able to articulate is by the grace of God. Pablo, okay, what does Parole Illinois do?
Parole Illinois is advocating to bring back the parole system to Illinois. The parole system was abolished in 1978 when we went from indeterminate sentencing to determinate sentencing. It was abolished on racial principles. Individuals of color were not getting paroled as much as the white population. And so they did away with the parole system and brought in determinate sentences where after 1978, people would serve 50% of their time. Thereafter started the tough on crime narrative through political means, and we continue to push for extended sentencing, truth in sentencing, and this just created a over sentencing amongst individuals where there are people serving de facto life sentences under the guise of armed robbery and several other felonies. But basically, we're trying to return back to a time when we were less messed up in our system than we are now. And we're trying to give people the opportunity to present their cases, to address some errors in our system, being convicted, whether you're guilty or not, but also extreme over sentencing and just correcting yourself, right? So taking into account that the Illinois Constitution demands that sentencing be put forth and in the interest of returning the individual to a society. And that's kind of what we're doing with Parole Illinois.
Okay, we have also an intern with Rainbow Push, Jenna Hoskins, who has been doing some research on prison reform and prison issues. And we'll be working with Anthony and his team to really look at how we deal with two things, 1983 and putting an end to this solitary confinement. Tell everyone a little bit about the paper that you have you started working on in your project for the summer that you're with us.
I researched into the prison system and incarceration during my time this year at school. I worked with Parole Illinois and Dr. Sherry Stone Mediatore as we were using a paper about the correlation between race and sentencing. And then I also was going through like talking to some incarcerated people in the prisons and just getting their views on it. And so then here at Rainbow Push, me and Reverend Wilson have been working with Anthony and trying to, put the academia side into the public policy side and create change in some way, because I mean, you can do so much with statistics. And I think that's the main issue that we have when it comes to prison reform, is that there are statistics, but we're not humanizing these statistics a lot of the times. And so when you see people like Pablo, Andrina, and Anthony here, who all have their own stories related to this topic and issue, then we're humanizing, you're putting a face to the name and not just saying statistics all the time.
So Anthony, this discussion is not going to end this Saturday, which is July the 3rd. We want to make sure that we kick off a national movement. There are people like you who are serving time, even as we speak, in solitary confinement.
The whole thing is solitary confinement. There is no lesser term than domestic terrorism. It's a crime against humanity, and it has to be stopped. It's despicable, it's horrible, and it's wrong, and it goes against our democracy. So it needs to be stopped.
And the fact that Anthony is able to communicate at all is a miracle. He is a living miracle. And so Anthony, we thank you for your witness and for your faithfulness. And we're going to help you make this a national priority. Elimination of solitary confinement. We're going to work with Parole Illinois. We're going to talk to the Sentencing Project, ACLU, and Northwestern to make this issue across the nation. This is a public policy issue of our day. There's too many young people, young males in particular, but a growing number, we discovered in our research, of women who are having this issue with solitary confinement. I want to thank all of you for the time you've shared. Anthony, you're the brightest person I know. We're going to be preaching in a minute if you're not already.
Push Excel's goal is to inspire students to strive for excellence in education in spite of personal, family, and community challenges that they might experience. How do we do this? By advocating for educational policies that guarantee equal funding for all students without regard to race or economic standing. By engaging parents, students, and teachers in pursuing high-quality education and striving for educational excellence at every level. And by forging partnerships with community-based and public sector stakeholders in education. Now, Push Excel is a national model program with the purpose of connecting principals, parents, popular personalities, and students in a bond and to support students at every level on the educational ladder. Now, we want you to become a member of the Rainbow Push Coalition and Push Excel. Your annual membership can help us to change policies that impact students, colleges, and universities all around the country. So step up and sign up today. Membership is only $35, and if you're a student or a senior, $15. Just go to our website, rainbowpush.org, and push join to become a member, or push donate to support the Push Excel program. You can also text the word Push Excel, that's PUSHEXCEL, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give us any amount that you feel comfortable giving, or call us at 773-256-2775. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you. And remember to keep hope alive.
It's time for us to really look at what does the 4th of July mean to a divided America. I'm glad you asked. We have a preacher today, one who can explain this to us. More than 100 years ago, an ex-slave, Frederick Douglass, talked about what does the 4th of July mean to the Negro. Well, Dr. Haynes is going to tell us what the 4th of July means to a divided America. Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes is the senior pastor of the Friendship West Missionary Baptist Church. I want you to greet him warmly. After this musical selection, the next speaking voice you will hear is none other than the Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes III.
Let me salute and appreciatively applaud one who I love and admire, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, Sr., for your continuing to demonstrate that there is a call upon your life that has made life better for the world. You are a world citizen. You are a prophet to the nations. You are a leader extraordinaire and a true prophetic protege of that drum major for justice, Martin Luther King Jr. Man, I salute you. I love you. I admire you. And thank you for what I witnessed as a student at now defunct but never dead Bishop College back in the day when you came to address our campus. And I'm trying to figure out how this thing called ministry is connected to the work of justice. I'm reading up on King, and then here you come as the embodiment of everything that I wanted to do. And so I thank you so much for your inspiration, for your life, and for the legacy that continues to unfold. I salute Rainbow Push, all of you. Thank you so much, Reverend Jonathan Jackson, Reverend Jeanette Wilson, all of you. I just thank God for you, the Jackson family. I love you with all of my heart. What does the 4th of July mean to our divided nation is the theme I have been asked to address. What does the 4th of July mean to our divided nation? A remix, as it were, on the speech that was given by the silver-tongued prophet for freedom, Frederick Douglass, when he raised the question, what does the 4th of July mean to the enslaved? And so I want to be true to our theme. What does the 4th of July mean to our divided nation? Maya Angelou, the late great Maya Angelou, recognized that we were in the midst of a cold civil war, and she labeled this country appropriately these yet to be United States. On the one hand, there is hope that what is not yet will eventually be. On the other hand, there is the cold reality that everything that America proclaims is contradicted by what is going on. And so Maya Angelou labeled this nation these yet to be United States. These yet to be United States. Yes, it's quite appropriate because we live in a nation that is divided by partisan politics, where there is a party that is so obsessed with power they will undermine democratic principles of justice and freedom. These yet to be United States, yes, because America has refused to repent for her original sin and repair those who have been broken with reparations by that original sin and its lingering after effects. These yet to be United States, yes, because America still is a country that refuses to honestly deal with a history that continues to influence what's going on in the contemporary present. These yet to be United States. These yet to be United States is in a real sense something that must be addressed and spoken to by the 4th of July. If the 4th of July is not to be the 4th of July, these yet to be United States. I'll see if I can make this real plain, because there is in these yet to be United States a reality that's being experienced by the people in this country of ebony hue and brown people, indigenous people, poor white people. They relate to the lyrics of 50 Cent in what is it? The theme song to Power. In the theme song to Power, it's called what? A Big Rich Town. You know the opening line. It's a big rich town. I just come from the poorest part. But watch the line when he says, I grew up in hell, a block away from heaven. I got to park right there, because these yet to be United States have too many for whom that testimony, those lyrics are a testimony. Because when 50 Cent says, I grew up in hell, a block away from heaven, he is letting us know that hell is not just some eschatological destination you go to after you die. Hell can be an existential reality that you experience as death-dealing forces remind you that you have been otherized by oppression, because we live in a nation where what Isabel Wilkerson calls a caste system has resulted in what Eddie Glaude Jr. calls a value gap, and the caste system and the value gap have created where you can literally grow up in hell a block away from heaven because of a hierarchy of value that is structured by injustice in these yet to be United States. Preach, Freddie Haynes. I'm trying not to, but I will illustrate it with this. I believe it was Jean-Paul Sartre who wrote a play and entitled it No Exit. No Exit is a play about three individuals who are divided, and their division creates hell. It makes a room into hell. Watch this. Garson, Inez, and Estelle are locked after they die in a room with no exit, only an entrance, and no glass to look into or out of, immovable furniture and artificial shrubbery. And here is what makes hell hell. It's not the room, it's what they do in that room. In that room, Garson is romantically attracted to and pursues Inez. Inez is a lesbian and she wants Estelle. Estelle is a statuesque beauty queen and she's after Garson. So Garson wants Inez. Inez wants Estelle. Estelle wants Garson, and they're locked in a room with no exit, only an entrance, no glass to look into or out of. That is hell. It's hell not because of the room itself, but because of what those in the room are doing in their selfish pursuit of their own agenda. That's what's going on in these yet to be United States. In this room of a country, there are those pursuing their own agenda at the expense of democratic principles of justice and freedom. And that is why these yet to be United States has created an existential hell for so many. Why are they doing it? They're doing it because they have never been liberated from the lie. The lie, that is what the 4th of July reminds us, because on the 4th of July, as a declaration of independence was taking place, there were still those who were shackled and chained and treated as chattel. No wonder James Baldwin put it like this when he talks about the lie that continues to influence and infect what happens in America today. The founders of this country, Baldwin said, had a fatal flaw, and that fatal flaw continues to bear poisonous fruit. What was that flaw? The flaw was they recognized what human beings look like. They knew that black people were human, and yet treating them in a subhuman, inhumane fashion was a contradiction of what they recognized as Christians who claim to love God and believe in freedom and justice. So the only way that they could justify treating black people as chattel was to say that they are not human. And that's what the founders of this country did. They said we're not human. Jay-Z put it in rap terminology when Jay put it like this: in the land of the free, the black man's enslaved, 3/5 of a human, I believe is the phrase. Do y'all get the lie? The lie that continues to infect and influence American politics and American social interactions and systems and structures. It's been built on a lie, and until we deal with the lie, then the 4th of July becomes the 4th of you lie. And what I'm simply saying, the 4th of July is saying to this divided nation, it's time to be liberated from the lie lie, because Jesus is right. The truth will set you free. And if the truth will set you free, then a lie will lock you up. Preach, Freddie Haynes. I'm trying not to, but I'll tell you what we've got to do to respond to the Declaration of Independence and the meaning of the 4th of July in order to be liberated from the lie. To be liberated from that lie, we, my sisters and brothers, must recognize that we've got to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help us God. I didn't say that right. I'll give it to you like this. If we want to experience, Baldwin says, better possibilities in the future, we've got to be honest about the past and its infecting of the present. We've got to be honest. We've got to be truthful. We got to tell the truth, y'all. Let's tell the truth about the fact that America was born in a hostile takeover and shaped by white supremacy. We got to tell the truth about the sad reality that in too many instances, America has been a country that black people have loved, but America has not loved us back. I think I'm quoting Doc Rivers, coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. I won't even stop there and say that America in too many instances has proclaimed democracy, but there's a hypocrisy in the practice of democracy when it comes to otherizing and mistreating those who are marginalized and those of us whose skin has been kissed by nature's sun. I'm letting you know, America needs to tell the truth. We need not fear the truth. We must face the truth in order to be freed by that truth. Critical race theory is not a threat to America. Critical race theory is not a threat to patriotism. Critical race theory is not a threat, watch this, to white people. Critical race theory simply helps us face what was wrong so we can fix what is wrong. Critical race theory is simply saying America began in sin, in the sin of enslavement, white supremacy, a hostile takeover. And we have found out that when you pick up one end of the stick, you're picking up the other end of the stick when you begin one way. Unless there is an intervention whereby there is a transformation of how things started, then you'll continue to be infected and influenced by how things began. I'm letting someone know as you listen right now, America, it's time to listen to what Dr. King said in his last speech when he says, all I'm saying is be true to what you said on paper. It's time for us to be true to what we said on paper. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal, endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We've got to be true to what we said on paper. Why? Because King quotes Thomas Carlyle and warns us no lie can live forever. America, as long as we are caught up by the lie, I promise you there is an expiration date on this nation. If we are not liberated from the lie, the empire will crumble, because King goes on to quote William Cullen Bryant, truth crushed to earth will rise again. The lie ain't gonna live forever. The truth is going to rise. And so hear me well, my sisters and brothers. America, hear this message. We've got to face the truth so we don't fear the truth, and then we'll be freed by that truth. I gotta quit and give you one more thing here, and that is when we are freed by that truth, then we will structure this country or restructure this country until it is one of liberty and justice for all. And that's what we must do. Recognize there's something inherently wrong with the structure, because the structure, watch this, it was shaped by the material of injustice. Jesse Jackson puts it brilliantly when he says, if you have a size 10 foot and a size 8 shoe and your foot is hurting, you've got a structural problem. If you want to experience release from the pain, then you've got to deal with the structure. It does not mean you've got to take, watch this, an aspirin for the pain because that's charity, but it ain't justice. It does not mean that you shine the shoes so the shoes are shining and glistening. No, the foot is still hurting. The foot is still in pain because you've got, Jesse says, a structural problem. And what we are saying to this country is we've got a structural problem. That's what critical race theory helps us to understand. There's a structural problem, and we've got to watch this. We've got to change the structure. I got to go back to that shoe analogy. It means you do not unloosen the laces. It does not mean that you loosen, watch this, the buckle. It means it's time for a new shoe. It's time for a new shoe, America. A shoe that is what? Built by the material of justice and freedom and democratic values of inclusion of everybody. It's time for a new shoe, America. And so I know America thought we'd get hyped about the Juneteenth holiday, and I salute Opal Lee, because Opal Lee of Fort Worth, 95 years old, her home was set on fire in 1939 on Juneteenth, that very day, by white rioters. But check this out. Opal Lee literally walked from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C., fighting to make Juneteenth a holiday. And we honor, we salute her for her work and doing that. And we cannot simply stop there. We've got to say, but we're not satisfied, because it's not lost on us about the hypocrisy, the lie in democracy, when the same people who will vote Juneteenth into a holiday will not ensure that children, when they go to school, can learn why there's a need for Juneteenth in the first place. The same people can vote for Juneteenth, but they cannot vote for anti-lynching legislation. The same people can vote for Juneteenth, but they refuse to bring to pass the For the People Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Bill, because they have not been liberated from the lie. And that's why we've got to tell the truth. And when we tell the truth, we will restructure America until it is a land of liberty and justice for all. Y'all, we can do it. I know we can do it, because America has always gotten better when we fought to make America live up and level up to what America said America was supposed to be. John Jenkins helps me with that term, level up. I was asking him about what happened to the late John Kennedy Jr. and his wife as they were flying, and they experienced what they call in aviation, in the aviation industry, this feeling where everything was flipped upside down, and this feeling where they were flipped upside down. John Jenkins, who is a pilot, says it's called spatial disorientation, where you don't know which way was up, and that is why they crashed and they perished. And COVID-19 and what some call COVID-16-19 have created spatial disorientation. This nation doesn't know which way is up. This is what John Jenkins says could have saved the lives of John Kennedy and his wife if they had just flipped the switch right above them. It's called the level up switch. I like that, level up. All they had to do was level up, and the plane would have corrected itself. If they had just leveled up, the plane would have corrected itself and they would have been safe. And that's what I'm saying to America. The 4th of July is challenging us to level up, because when we level up, justice will roll down as waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. When we level up, we'll have politicians who do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with their God. When we level up, this America will become what America should become. We'll make of the old world a new world, and America will be one of liberty and justice for all. America, it's time to level up. I believe we can level up, because as Dr. King said in that last speech, mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. It's time to level up.
There's several announcements I want you to mark your calendar. One, Push Excel is hosting its summer STEAM sports camp. It will be July 9th through August 7th, and we'll talk more about some of it is going to be virtual, most of it is going to be hands-on, and we'll talk about how you can engage your young people this summer for 8 weeks in a powerful STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math program, as well as sports. Our young people have not had physical activity for almost 2 years. We're going to get them back in shape. They've gained a lot of weight because they've been doing this, so we're going to get them back in shape. The other thing is what we're doing in Chicago. We want to model this all around the country. We have what we call a track competition. We are trying to find who is the fastest runner in the city of Chicago. We're partnering with the city of Chicago, and Mayor Lightfoot has coined the phrase, it's the race to Gately Stadium. We're qualifying students all over the city and to try to see at age 8, at age 13, at age 17, who is the fastest young woman, young man, who is the fastest person in our city at those age groups. And so what we want you to do is take your child to the nearest school, to the Park District, register them for the Race to Gately. Reverend Jackson is looking to see who in your neighborhood is the fastest on your block, who's the fastest in your park district, who's the fastest in your school district. And when I say school districts, I'm talking about elementary and high schools. We're trying to find out which young lady, which young man, in elementary and high school are the fastest in the city of Chicago.
You may not be the fastest, you may be the one with the most endurance. Sometimes the fast people run dash and other people run steeplechase, right?
Yes, sir.
So I want you to say everybody.
Everybody
Everybody is the winner.
is a winner
When they do the best.
when they do their best.
Your best
Your best
is good enough.
is good enough.
You don't want to miss this. Make sure that children in your church, children in your family are registered for the Race to Gately.
For 2021, we're excited to get more people engaged and involved in Rainbow Push, supporting the programs of Push for Excellence and the Citizenship Education Fund. Now, if you're interested in public policy and you want to help change the policies that impact those who are incarcerated, you can do so. If you're interested in impacting public policies that benefit education and businesses with social economic solutions, you can do that as well. You can become a policymaker by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now. Now, if you believe in the scholarships that we've given to thousands of students each year, you can help us out. We've awarded more than $10 million in scholarships year to date. Now, you can help young people achieve a higher education by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now for the annual fee of only $35. And if you're a student or a senior, it's only $15. You can help us make a difference in the lives of millions. Now, if you watch us every week, or if you listen to us on the radio, or if you're viewing on social media, we need you to become a member. And how do you become a member? It's simple. Visit us at rainbowpush.org and press join. Maybe you'd like to support the work of Push. If so, it's really simple. You can do so by texting the word PUSH, that's P-U-S-H, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give any amount that you feel comfortable giving, or you can call us at 773-256-2775 or go to rainbowpush.org and push donate. So whenever you want to support, you can do it from anywhere. So keep pushing, because we're going to keep pushing for you and keep hope alive.
Dr. Kim, I went to jail with a group of 7 students, July 17, 1960, almost 60 years ago. We never stopped moving. I lost a few of jail cells and death. We never stopped moving. I thought it was time to write some of it down so the older generation can learn how we did, and what we did, and how global it was. Was speaking about Mandela in South Africa, India, Qatar, about Gandhi in India, here at home. This book tells the story, so please get it and give it to your friends. Read it, let's argue about it, let's discuss it.
Yep. So the book is Keeping Hope Alive: Sermons and Speeches of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. It's quite a good collection. You know, we've got sermons and speeches from around the globe because you have made such a global impact, not just here in the U.S., but around the world.
Thank you for tuning in to our International Saturday morning broadcast. We need your support. Here are ways to give to Rainbow Push Coalition. Text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444 to support the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and Rainbow Push Coalition. When you shop, Amazon gives. Visit Amazon Smile and select Push for Excellence as your charitable organization by starting your shopping at smile.amazon.com.
We are Sanctuary. We are a sanctuary.
When I think of Rainbow Push, I think of two words: social justice.
Education advocacy.
Political empowerment.
Freedom and equality.
Corporate partnership.
Stop the violence. Save the children. Don't get it. Shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down.
Political change.
Inclusion, evolution. Progress, justice.
Jesse Jackson.
Keep hope. Keep hope alive. Alive. Keep hope. Keep hope alive. Alive.
We want to be bridges to end these cultural gaps.
We're going forward. By hope. Not backwards. By fear.